Let's move this over here. Okay, I guess we're live everywhere. A second here. Okay, there you go. Okay, brothers and sisters, everything's up and running. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome. This is Suleiman Rahim here, Messenger of the Covenant, Breaker of the Seven Seals. Welcome to the Holocaust. The Holocaust. Do we know what the Holocaust is? That's the big lie we've been told for hundreds of years, that we were enslaved. No, brothers and sisters, that was just part of our situation. Enslavement is an economic side. That's the economic side. When it's capitalism, maximum profit, minimum overhead. That's the aim of capitalism. The goal, maximize your profit, minimize your overhead. And that's slavery when the overhead is virtually zero and the profit's almost 100%. So no, that was the economic side. There's a whitewash. It was a Holocaust. Look up slavery. It doesn't include rape, murder, sodomy, kidnapping, and everything else you can imagine and can't imagine. It's horror. We went through nearly 500 years of horror. It's a Holocaust. Stop letting them fool you with this. Stop letting them fool you with this slavery stuff. See, it wasn't slavery. See, it's a Holocaust. A Holocaust. That's what it was. See, and that's what it still is. Because we're still here in prison. We're still in prison here. A Holocaust. See. Hold on, brothers and sisters, for a minute. A Holocaust. So we want to talk about a couple of things today, because this is like my debut. We intend to be on every Saturday about 1 or 2 o'clock. That's yet to be determined. So this is like the debut, right? And here we're going to talk about the facts. No suppositions, no theories, what do they call them? Conspiracy theories, no religion. We'll talk about it, right? But we're not pushing any religion, right? We just talk facts, mathematics, science, logic. If that bothers you, bye. So I want to talk today about reparations. That's my main topic. I'm going to talk about several things, but that's the main topic, reparations. See? Now, there's been a lot of talk about reparations lately, but you can't understand what that's all about without understanding the backdrop of it, See? And most of you don't understand that, because it just sounds great. See? Because no logic or reason applied to it. Oh, they're going to give us $1 million a piece. See, and maybe give us some 6 states. No, that's what Farrakhan wants, right? And we're gonna have our own country, right? And everyone's gonna have $1 million apiece. We'll all be rich. See, that's what they're telling you. That's what they're proposing. Reparations. See, so what is reparations? Reparations is, compensation for what you went through. Now, if you just went through slavery, then that might make some kind of sense, because economic situations, they're going to address it in an economic way, right? So that might make some sense, and you might go along with that. See, even though there's some issues with that too, right? But like I said, it wasn't economics. That was only part of the problem, the economics. See, it was a hard cost. So how can they pay you for 4 years of rape, murder, kidnapping, torture, oppression? How can they compensate you for that? See? Because you can put reparations in their terminology, right, in their understanding or whatever, as a civil issue. See, but when you're talking about, excuse me for a second, brothers and sisters, when you're talking about rape, murder, right, Sodom, all that, well, that's not civil, that's criminal. And if you understand this idea about statute of limitations, their own law, there's no statute of limitations on rape, murder, kidnapping. There's no statute of limitations. Statute of limitations is just what it says it means. It means that for certain crimes, if you don't prosecute them within a certain period of time, they're not adjudicated. They just go away. So you can't process them. You have to do it within a certain period of time. See, but there's no statute of limitation on rape, murder, and those type of things. There's none. See, and America is a corporation. You need to check it out. See, most people don't understand that. America is incorporated. That means everybody in America, right? In other words, put it this way. If it's incorporated, that means the corporation is responsible for anything that the corporation has ever done. See? In other words, if IBM was guilty of murdering 1,000 people 50 years ago, and they found out about it, they can still process them today because there's no statute of limitation on that, right? And even though the corporate people are not there anymore, it doesn't matter. IBM would be responsible for that. And people who are in charge, they will all be responsible because it's the corporation responsible for it. That's their law, the way I understand it. See? So America, see, they say, well, we was incorporated in 1777. Okay, well, let's go to 1777. Was you raping people since 1777? Was you still enslaving and oppressing and terrorizing us after 1777? You do it for more than a day. You do it for more than a year. You do it for more than decades. You see? Yes, you did. That gets to another thing too. I don't want to get too far afield here, but another thing they say, how should I say? Well, they say, maybe I shouldn't go there right now. Well, anyway, they're trying to wash their hands of it. I'm going to get back to that. So they was doing these things, see? And when they wrote that so Constitution, what did they say? It's all men are created equal. See? How they put it? I forgot how they say it. But it balances like all men are created equal, right? See? And it's no, I forget the words they use, right? But when they were saying that, see, when they were saying that, they weren't talking about you because you wasn't considered equal. In fact, in their constitution, they still classify you as 3/5 human. That means if you're 3/5 human, that means you're not human. See, because they can say an ape is like 1/5 human. That means you're not human. Or we hold these truths to be self-evident. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. So they wasn't talking about you. See, when they brought you over here, they had no intentions of you ever having equality with them or ever being a citizen or anything. You were supposed to come over here and just be a beast, just like bringing dogs and cats over here, period, and horses. That's it. They never envisioned anything like this. We hold these truths be self-evident. And you have these demons, oh, yeah, man, America was founded on peace, justice, and equality. See, because they're demons. They're master's children from rape. Relentless, right? Incessant, right? Rape. Which produced a whole race of hybrids, right? Called demons. Means they're mixed. But on the mixed on the parental side, because the parental side was the devil's. So that means you are what your father is. That's biology. Like I said, we're going to talk mathematics and science here. You understand? The sperm is alive, the egg is not. The egg is living material, but sperm is alive, and the sperm uses the egg, right, to develop itself. But you begin as a sperm. And so you are what your father is. There's no question about that. You can listen to all these crazy people saying stuff, right? That's biological, that's a mathematical fact. It's not a theory, it's a mathematical fact. So that means that the Bible calls them wolves in sheep clothing, or chaff that was sown amongst the wheat. They're not real. You know, they belong to, like it says, an evil one sowed the chaff, right? And Satan, you know, so he's the one, the wolves in sheep clothing. So in other words, that's what they are. They're not our people. They're skin folk, they're not kinfolk. So, for 400 years of this, well, okay, if you want to go through, well, I'm trying to put these pieces together because you need to understand the background behind all of this. And the background behind this, let's sew these things together. There's a lot more back. I'm trying to start from a central point here. There's this thing called the Abrahamic Covenant. Now, most of you don't know about it because they could put like a gag order or a sign, you know, they put a gag order on all the so-called demon preachers, you know, your black-faced preachers out there. They put a gag order on them, see? And they enforced it by example because Martin Luther King disobeyed it and he blew his brains out the next day. We told you about the promised land. Read his promised land speech. He wasn't talking about staying here in America. He started getting away from these people. See? And they was told, do not talk about the Abrahamic Covenant. And that's what he was talking about. He went and see Elijah Muhammad. We had the pictures. And then he came out the next day and gave a promised land speech. And next day after that, his head was blew his head off. And nobody talks about it anymore, except me. See? And they, well, anyway. So what it's talking about, it says that we'd be strangers and we'll sojourn in a foreign land. That means temporary, we'll be here temporarily, but we'll be here for 400 years. And be persecuted and afflicted for 400 years by that nation that drug us over here. It'll be a foreign nation, and we put to a foreign land. And after that 400 years was over, then God himself said he would punish that nation. He'd begin his punishment, which is a series of 10 plagues, 1 and then 9 more. The first one, right, would take place immediately. And that would be to kill the firstborn, which is the same thing as elderly, and pass over, you see. his people. So I'm trying to get some backdrop here. Now that so-called, not so-called, but that covenant, which is a covenant with God, right, was made a while back, but it's a contract covenant. I mean, but it's solid because God made it, and it's in so-called Old Testament, so-called New Testament. So you can't say abrogated. See? Okay. So let's look at our history. Okay, we came in 1555. It took 64 years to transform us from free people into Negro butts. Negro butts. Self-programmed to self-destruct, to obey master no matter what master says, no matter what his master does. Do not question, do not ask any questions, right? Do not think. See? Do not think, do not ask any questions about anything. And that took place, right? And so we have a history here. So 1619 is the official day that slavery started, at least according to even American statistic or American history. That's why I'm trying to cut out this CRT, or critical race theory. It wasn't a theory. To 2019, that's 400 years. 400 years. And then what? Right? And then immediately, in January 2020, the plague came that's killing the firstborn, the elderly. And it's passing over us. You say, oh no, they said it was killing, we were dropping like flies, which is a lie. They're not talking about that anymore. And all you got to do is go to the World Health Organization, WHO, look it up. In the last couple of months, maybe 3 months, they published a paper saying this, they took a while to do it, that this plague was not affecting Black Africa. And was not affecting Haiti. It was not affecting any country that blacks predominate. See, so that it was a lie they was telling us about we was dropping like flies. Maybe the demons were their children, but it wasn't us. So we're getting some backdrop here. See. So that's a problem, because everything started changing. It's not reparation, all this stuff. Everything changed. The whole idea of dealing with us took a dramatic change in 2020. Dramatic. They've been talking about reparations for quite some time. They're really pushing it now. And a lot of other things. You hear like, oh man, they really treat us different now. You can't turn a TV on for 5 minutes without seeing an interracial couple. And they're so happy, like everything's been happy forever. See? This is some of the backdrop. There's some more I'm going to kind of cover before we actually get into it. Like I really want to get into it, right? Now, we got, like I said, we got history here. Now, let's look at something else. Now, if those of you understand, well, even the Christians agree to some extent, right? That so-called Adam only been here 6,000 years. But they're talking about Europeans. See? The evolutionists, they got a whole different idea. That's another story altogether. But I think everybody kind of somewhat agrees that the 6,000 years, they don't agree on, all the circumstances surround it. But they were born into existence, Europeans, 6,000 years ago. See? And we brought them into existence because genetics tells you that we can produce them, they cannot produce us. They came from us. But that's not a story they tell. They say, we as a result of Noah's son, Shem, doing something immoral deed, and so his son Ham was cursed to be black, and all his seed forever would be slaves. That's how we came about, according to them. Anyway, this is back 6,000 years. So for 6,000 years, they was pretty much a horse and buggy people. Agricultural. See, they called it agricultural age, even though they wasn't particularly agricultural, because all the European countries were predator countries. All the European empires were predator empires Rome was not successful in agriculture. What it was successful in is taking other people that were successful in agriculture. There was predators. That's how they became a empire, by going and invading other countries and then taxing them and taking their good things. Rome did it. Greece did it. All of them. See? And that's how America came to be. That's how Australia came to be. It said they would go out to kill, steal, and destroy. That's exactly how America came into existence. They stole the country, they killed all its inhabitants, and they brought us over here and destroyed us as a people. But they don't want to hear that. See? There's some of the backdrop. So we have that history. So, I said there was predator. Okay. But it still was considered agricultural age in economic terms. But suddenly, the agricultural age changed, turned into an industrial age in the 1800s. Now you say, wait a minute, hold it. Now, if you understand it's been 6,000 years, and for 5,500 years, they was pretty agricultural, and then suddenly, and where did all this innovation, industrial innovation come from? Come from here in America. But that's when we was here. It didn't come from Europe. It didn't come from France. It didn't come from China. It came from India. It came from right here. Just like out of nowhere. After 5,500 years, suddenly they bring us over here, and then suddenly that gets back to the story of Joseph, right? They took Joseph. Joseph was in prison. He was betrayed. He was in prison. He was in prison, right? And then he was really smart. He solved their problem. Because remember, it was rules they couldn't figure it out. In other words, that's telling you they couldn't figure out how to govern their kingdom. They didn't figure out how to handle agriculture. That's what the story's all about. They didn't understand how to, do anything, farming, anything. So he told them. And his reward was they enslaved his descendants and oppressed his descendants. That's the story of us. See, because that time of Joseph, as Elijah Muhammad told us, that they brought out people over here in 1555 and they imprisoned them for 64 years. And then as a result of that, their children were enslaved. Holocaust. So you can connect those stories. I'm not going to really connect them in detail right now. I'm just trying to give you some backdrop here. Okay. So where we are right now. We talk about for 5,500 years, then all of a sudden, boom, because we're here. Because innovations come from us. That's something I want you to know. See? But so when they went from because first that's what they was using you for. See? Said Joseph showed him how to set everything up, but then he was rewarded by enslaving and oppressing his children. Right? Okay, but suddenly, after 5,500 years, they went to industrial age, machines and stuff. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, they don't want you anymore. Not for that. So they freed you. They didn't free you. They freed you from the agricultural. Do you understand? They freed you from the agricultural side. Because they didn't need you there no more. They didn't free you. They just freed you from that aspect of it. So you didn't have to go out there and do the fields because they had machines to do those things, cotton gin, all that kind of stuff. And they started having factories and stuff. So they didn't free you. They freed you from that side because they didn't give you anything. They give you 40 acres and a mule. Did they take it, hook you up? They give you any land? They give you anything? Right? They give you food, clothing. You had nothing. You was thrown off the plantation and you was a vagrant. And being a vagrant meant you would end up on a chain gang. You had nothing. And then they went to work. See, the whole thing was about, what was it about? It was about when they went to industrial, then the Holocaust masters, you like to call them slave masters, right? What they was doing, they was farming you out, right? to the plants. Remember the plantation of plants? And so they was undercutting the wages. Because if they was paying them $10 an hour, then they was only going to pay you $5 an hour. They charge you $5 an hour. So the guy say, hey, this guy's half cheap. He ain't going to give me no argument. He ain't going to fuss. He going to work harder than this other guy is, right? And he ain't take no breaks or anything. You see what I'm saying? See? And you weren't going to get the money. Holocaust master. Holocaust master going to get the money. And so the Americans, white Americans, got pissed off at that, and they said we can't compete with that, and they try to stop it. If you follow, you go to Church of History, they did all kinds of things they can would try to stop it, and when they couldn't stop it, right, then they went to war. That's why they went to war, not because they wanted to free you, right? They wanted to free you from those jobs that they wanted. That's what they wanted to free you from, and that's what they did. Because as soon as that war was over, they went to work with guilds, apprenticeships, trade guilds, apprenticeships, unions, or whatever, to keep you out of those jobs. And you know that's what's true. So they just freed you from those type of jobs, and they need you anymore. See? But you think, oh, they freed us. No. You better read what Lincoln said. He said he don't think you was his equal. And he said he wanted to send you back to Africa if he could. He said just couldn't afford it. There's no store altogether. But I'm saying, doesn't that strike you strange? It's like after 500 years, all of a sudden they go to industrial age, and only America is the one that's coming up with industrial innovation. The car, electricity, planes, computers, all that stuff comes out of here. It ain't coming out of no place else. They say, oh, the Germans can't rock, so they got that from China. See? So you need to understand the backdrop, what's going on here. See? So they don't need you for that, but they still need you for your creativity. So they kept you enslaved for your creativity. Holocaust, because of your creativity. They still need your creativity. See? They say necessity is the mother of invention. Say necessity is the mother of invention or innovation. We have more necessity than us out there breaking our back, picking cotton and tobacco 24/7, right? Breaking our backs in the hot sun, being whipped and everything else. We would be the ones to try to come up with some kind of way to make that easier. Anyway, that's another story, brothers and sisters. Because you're gonna find out eventually that you're the creative force behind all of this. See, it says we go out. See, it says in the Abrahamic covenant, it says after that, it says then we will go out with great substance. And it says we will plunder them by taking all that gold and silver. But you think that's metal? No, that's talking about us, because we the gold and silver. We the creators behind all this creativity. See, they gave you a little hint in Hidden Figures. They just gave a little bit. I knew about that all the time. But I knew it was more some brothers involved in that too. But they just can't bring themselves to show brothers showing white folks anything, white males. Can't show that. They can kind of like get away with the females. But these females were showing them how to use their math. These guys were highly educated, and they had very little education. I don't even know if any of them had degrees. But it was minimal. And they were showing them how to use their own mathematics. See? And that's another story. So I'm just trying to bring out some things, give you some food for thought. Okay? So let's talk about creativity a little bit. Then we're in the industrial age. Right? Okay, let's fast forward to AI age, and then we'll move into, right? Now, they had this program. I went through the program. This was like 1976, 1977, I guess. When computers first started coming on the scene, right? I mean, for public, or the business, right? Because the military had some degree of computers, but when it came into the business sector and the public, awareness, right? And like I was, they had this program, and they had this thing called SIC codes, Standard Industrial Codes, SIC, Standard Industrial Codes. Now you have one. If you work someplace, you have one. You just probably don't know about it. But I talked to this brother. You know, he's actually from. He's a big executive for a bank, and he didn't know about it. I was surprised because I mean I think he would know. But anyway, they have them. So look them up. Standard Industrial Codes, because you have a new that's associated with you. I think the tax people keep up with it, whatever. I know the government does, right? Because something like they call it MOS in the military, you know. But anyway. So what they do is when their new industry comes on the scene, what they do is they say, okay, they do a demographics search to find out what demographics in the country would be best suited for that new industry so they can stay on top of it. And once they identify them, they start training them for that new industry. So what they did is they made the demographics, they found out to their amazement that black people was best suited to be programmers to work with computers. And that's part of what that Hidden Figures thing was all about. And don't tell me it's not true, because I went to the program. Urban League was the one that administered the program. They found that they brought the students in, right? They went and fished them, right? And they provided the facilities, right? And the administrative side of it. IBM supplied the teaching and the equipment, you know, the teachers and the equipment, right? And then the local industry, right? They would guarantee that the top 10% of that class that they would hire. If you're in the top 10% of that class, they would guarantee it. They didn't follow through with me, right? Because a name like Raheem, you know, and I came out first in the class. I made sure I knew I was going to have issue. This after Muhammad departed, right? So I went to the class, and I think it was a 3-month class, and they paid you while you was going to the class. Okay? So I came out first in the class. See? Now, go fast forward, right? Carter is the one that implemented this. Reagan came and shut it down immediately. See, because thing is, he saw this was going to be a supply and demand, right? This is going to be a very powerful industry. And they're going to have what they call it, security issues or whatever, domestic security or whatever, right? And plus, it's going to be a very powerful. So that means you're going to make a lot of money, and there's people that can do this, and that means you'll be next door, sleeping next door to him, sleeping with his daughter and stuff. They shut it down. They shut it down cold. But the point I'm trying to make is that they knew that you were the best to do it. See, because I survived, because I was so good at what I was doing that they didn't want me around, but they would bring me in because I was a gunslinger. If they need something done that they couldn't figure out themselves, like when AT&T broke up and stuff like that there, I was a gunslinger. They knew, because I had an excellent reputation. They brought me in to solve a problem. They got me out of there. They want me to stick around. See, and I come in, I'm Muslim, Raheem, right? I wasn't taking no bullshit, right? And so they didn't want me around, but they needed the job done. So hey, one thing you tell about these devils, right? Right? If they need something done, you know what? They'll pay you, and then they get rid of you. You know, they're about money. See. So I individually had my own business and everything else, computer business. See. But then right away, some of you older people, if you're listening, they had this movie called I'm Alive, number 5 or something. See, immediately they opened this up and they start because you couldn't find an Indian in this country from India. You'd be hard pressed to find one during that time in the 70s. There was a few, right? But they were very rare, like Run Up on a Panda or something, right? But then they made that movie. This Indian guy, he was able, because they started putting the idea in people's heads that they were super programmers, because he took this robot and gave it consciousness. It became alive, a living thing. So, I mean, that was like a super program. You can't do that, but, you know, that's the movie. And they say, you know, they flooding in on visas, and now, look, one of them took over Twitter. See, they don't take over. That's a long story. See, because they didn't want you to have it, and they started building, Biden was in on it. They started building prisons for you, because they wasn't going to give that to you. They would have it to them. The same idea about Bruce Lee and those guys, right? See, if you get into confrontation with a person from China, you're going to think twice about it. Probably you won't do it because you don't want to get kung fu. And 99% of people don't know about no kung fu. They call it boxing over there. See, because it's like, just like you think all black people are stupid and everything else, because that's the way they portray it. And so you buy it. So now they're super programmers and you in prison. See? So you had the creativity, but they won't use it for your benefit. They use it for their benefit, and they throw you in jail. See, you still the creative, because, you had to be very creative to be programming and deal with computers. See what I'm saying? So I'm trying to give you some backdrop here. So I think that's enough to kind of like give you, put a little sauce on this turkey, little stuffing in it. So 2020 come in, bam. Now, the people that call themselves Jews, they knew exactly what that meant, because they claim that Exodus is their history. They tell you that, they know it's not. Because your own Bible tells you that, because they had a confrontation in the Bible, according to them, with Jesus. When Jesus told them, know the truth and the truth shall make you free. And they said, hey, we ain't never been in prison by anybody. Jesus didn't contest it. And he called him and said, you ain't seed Abraham, you're defiled the devil. You see. So they said so they know it ain't them. You see. But they've been saying that. See. They say that's them. That's Exodus. So they knew exactly what that meant. See? Because they taught that from the cradle to the grave. From the cradle to the grave. Exodus, that's the history, Jesus came, then Moses, then Aaron, then Joshua, and so forth, right? And then there'll be a plague that kills. That's why they celebrate Passover. That's what it means, Passover. In other words, the plague hit Egypt, it passed over them. That's what Passover was all about. Even though they know it never happened to them. And there's no record that any of that stuff happened, because the Egyptians said they just have records going back 5,000 years. They said they had no knowledge of you ever been in prison here. And like I said, they had knowledge right in the Bible, and Jesus went along with them. See? So, what does all this mean? See? They understood exactly what that meant. But they didn't want you to know what it meant, because that undermines their claim that they're true to Abraham, because they said over there in 1948, since 1948, claiming they are. And then this happens, and if you understood what it meant, then right away you knew they was lying. Because that story that never happened in the past is happening now. You're living it. Master Prophet Muhammad came, told Elijah's talking about 40-some years, exactly like it says. Then when he would depart, then Aaron would over 40-some years, he would deceive the people and lead them to destruction. Then Joshua would come after him with the same name as Jesus. Joshua and Jesus, same name, just different languages. If you say it in Greek, you say Jesus. If you say it in Hebrew, you say it Joshua. They knew exactly what that meant. See? So then they had to go full throttle to shut that down. Shut that down. See? Because everybody was dropping like flies, and the African countries weren't being affected. Like I said earlier, right? WHO, just check it out. They said it wasn't affecting black countries, passing over us. They knew exactly what that meant. And it came in exactly on time, 2020. 1619 to 2019, 2020 came with the plague. Exactly like I said. See? But they don't want you to see that. And they got Farrakhan right. He's right along with them. And that's not. I'm not sure how we're going to get into that, right? Okay. So now you got two schools of thought. See? Now they know. Now it's clear who we are. Not to us, because they keep it secret, right? But now it's out in the atmosphere now. If anybody's got their eyes open, the ears open, right? Catch it. right? They can't hold it back now because there's the facts right there. And the only one's talking about is me. So they're doing everything they can to suppress me from saying it because I'm the one talking about it. I've been telling you about it before it happened. See? So, now, like I said, two schools of thought. Well, if and this plague is the first of 10 plagues, and all the trouble we have right now, look all the trouble is in America. Food shortages, everything, they tell you it's going to get worse. They know that they're punished because it says God will come and punish that nation after beginning of 2020, after 40 years, and they'll punish them to destruction, forcing them to finally let us go. Because then, if they hate us so much, why not let us go? So you can leave, okay, that's another story. We'll talk about that. So I say two schools of thought. I'm going to talk about one of them. I'm talking about the reparations side of it. They've been talking about reparations for quite a while, not just now, but they've really been pushing this since 2020. See? Because, remember, that's a covenant. It was a contract. Now, when you make a contract, you can take and abrogate the contract, or you can default on the contract, right? Make it null and void. So, they're going to be punished. This nation will be punished, America will be punished for what they've been doing to us for 40 years. That's a criminal case that God's going to, right? Because it says, soon I will be the judge and God will be the executioner. See? Because of what they've done. So they want to get out, they think they can get out from under it. So in other words, you've paid, remember, as a result of that, you would get a reward. So you're paid, you're going to be paid, that's the promised land for your suffering. You see? That's what God promised you. See? But you have to, you have to fulfill your part of the agreement, which we did. See, the Jamaicans didn't fulfill their part, the Haitians didn't fulfill their part because they broke away before the 40 years was over. That's why it says, message to the black man in America. Farrakhan says everybody, no. That's why he was very specific about it. Because we went through the whole 9 yards of the Holocaust. So let me give you a little analogy here. Here you go, and you took, and you've been paying down payment installments on this Lamborghini. And you've been paying for maybe 4 years, right? And now you finally make your final payment, now you want to go pick it up. And then you got this little slick salesman there, right? See. What's his name, Farrakhan? Hey, brother, right? See how handsome I am? Just pay attention to me, see how cool I am, man. You know what I'm saying? So I know what I'm talking about. See, man, do you really want that Lamborghini? Man, you know how much it's going to cost you? It's expensive, man, and plus your insurance going to be high. Maintenance going to be high. You got to get a garage, right? Parts, service. Man, that's going to cost you a lot of money. I see you struggling to pay for this thing, man. So how you going to afford that once you get it, right? But now I got a BMW over here, man, that is classy. It's affordable, right? It's prestigious. The girl's still going to like that, man. You got a BMW, right? And, like I said, it's affordable. So he talks you into it. So now you go for that deal. And then you go home, your wife slaps you out here. Bam! Boy, what's wrong with you? Why you do something dumb like that for? Right? Your daddy smacked you. Bam! Boy, I ain't teach you better than that. Then you really finally got dawn on you. Damn, that was stupid. Man, I let that slick dude talk me into that. That was stupid. So now you go back, the guy say, hey man, you done made the deal. Now you signed the contract. Get the hell out of here. Then you go to the judge. Judge say, hey, how old are you? You over 21? Did you know what you was doing? You made the contract. Was you drunk? Did they put a gun in your head? No, then get the hell out of here. You made the agreement, live with it. Remember I said this covers a contract. See? Let's look at, put that aside, let's look at another analogy before I put two together. Here you are, you Mr. Bruce Lee, right? You get in a fight with 7 dudes. You whoop their ass, bam, lay them out. So they want to press charges against you, right? So 6 of them, so you say, hey man, I give y'all $30,000 a piece, man. If y'all just don't press charges, man, that's enough to cover your hospitalization, your doctor bills, and you put maybe $20,000 in your pocket, man. Everybody said down with it except one guy. Hey man, I ain't going with that, man. I'm pushing the charge your ass. Well, that won't work for him, because everybody's got to agree to it. Because one person charge, he's still going to jail for as much he would if he all 6 had to press or 7 had to press charges. So he can have to have 100% compliance. You understand where I'm going? So that's the same thing with reparations. See? Because Abrahamic covenant, they have to have 100% compliance. Because if one person holds out, that person is going to still press charges. God still can punish that country, just same as he would punish for everybody. And that person, if he's the only one going to go home, he'd be one to inherit the whole land. He's still going to get it. So if just one person, fine. It's still the result is still the same for the dealership, still the same for America. Whether one does it or all of them do it. But at least have to be at least one. They have to get full compliance. You understand? And they were on the verge of getting full compliance until Elijah Muhammad stepped up, and then that wasn't going to work. That's why they had to get rid of him. They get rid of him. See? And they was plotting against him according to Thessalonian, if I'm saying it correctly. Right? That's what it says. They was plotting. Farrakhan was one of the plotters. That's why he had to be taken away. Now he's sitting in Elijah's seat, just like it says in Thessalonians. I think I'm saying it better that time. Right? You understand? So they had 100% compliance. And then once he was gone, before I stepped up, they had 100% compliance. So everybody in America was going to go down with that deal. I'm going to give everybody $1 million. I'm going to give them, Farrakhan said, just give us 6 states. And I'm a little segue on that. See, he telling these so-called followers of his, in 6 states. Who do you think are going to run those 6 states? The Muslims? His followers? When they're a minority, according to Christians, hell no. The Christians are going to run it. They're going to put pork and everything else, and you're going to be back. See, you don't pay attention. You think they're going to let Farrakhan run it? See, those people follow him are idiots. This is much more idiot as Ishmael. That boy is totally retarded. So he's trying to sell it to you, your so-called followers. They claim that you rely on Muhammad, but if you get it, you ain't going to run it. It's going to be worse for you over there than over here. Because the demon's going to have it, and they're going to oppress your ass. They probably get rid of your ass if you upset them. So you don't understand what this demon story is all about. And I'm not going to go too much further than that today. I'm going to stick strictly with this reparations deal. See? Because I'm not buying it. And they've already tried to get rid of me. I got the picture I can show you. You know, they put me in a car wreck. Nobody thought, no way. You see the car's a pancake. And nobody saw I could walk away from that one. See? Because I'm the only ones talking about this. That's against it. And they can't afford it if anybody that's against it. See? Because one person against it, it doesn't work for them. See? So say, for instance, they could achieve that 100%. Now we're going to talk about the mechanics of this, and then we're going to move to, like I said, I'm just sticking with reparation today. We'll talk about something else, the next topic. Like I said, I intend to talk to you every Saturday between 12 and 1, I believe. That's what I'm trying. We're setting that up now, right, for about an hour. So going live, so you can answer, have your questions or whatever. But anyway, they give the reparations, right? They give everybody $1 million. $1 million, right? Or everybody got, even children too, everybody gets $1 million. They're saying it's going to take trillions of dollars, but that's fiat money anyway. But anyway, and then, so everybody got $1 million. Then they give you 6 states that you're not prepared for. You don't have scientists and doctors and lawyers and machinists and engineers and architects. You don't have any of that. Electrician, you don't have any of that to do it. But anyway, just assume you get it. You got some way, because you can have to ask master to help you. But anyway, say you get it and you got it. See? So now, hey man, we always got $1 million. See? See, because you think that's a great deal. We got $1 million, we got 6 states, and I guarantee you, they'll be landlocked states. It won't be California, it won't be Michigan, right? It won't be Louisiana, right? It won't be Texas. It'll be landlocked. Landlocked states. You see, no access to water, guaranteed. So now you got, hey, and then everybody, Exodus moves over there. Now you happy. Oh man, we got $1 million and we got 6 states, we got our own country, right? And like I said, who you think gonna rule that country? It was gonna be a democracy. Ask the Liberians how that's working out for them. That left here and went to Liberia and they still use American money and still trying to use American system. Ask how that turned out for them. Anyway, so now you're there. And then they closed the border, right? So now you got your own country, you got the border closed, right? And then immediately they tell all the white folks over here, change your money into precious metals and jewels and stuff, right? Precious things, like, right? And they do that. See? Then they start printing money like crazy. Oh, they wouldn't do that to us. What haven't they done to you? What restraint has it ever shown you since you've been here? That won't happen. They won't do it. See, that's the demons talking. See, ask the Native Americans what it did to them. As they keep any treaties, but they would never. Okay, they start printing money like crazy. So in other words, that loaf of bread that you was paying $1 for, now it's $10. Now it's $100. Now it's $1,000. Don't tell me that kind of stuff happened, because go check Zimbabwe. Used to be Rhodesia. Check about the inflation that happened there. Check about the inflation that happened in Germany after World War II. I mean, after World War I. That's what brought Hitler to power, because it got so bad they would have wheelbarrows full of money just to buy a loaf of bread. And over there, let's check. I was over there when I was in the military, and a mark, they call mark, was equivalent to a quarter, right? And it was like, it took 1 million marks, right, just about a loaf of bread. And that's why they couldn't handle it. And so therefore, right, that's how Hitler rose to power. He put a stop to all of that. So he started doing that, printing money like crazy. That means your value goes out. Next thing you know, loaf of bread costs you $100,000. You only got $1 million, about 10 loaves of bread, you're broke. You're broke. See? You're totally broke. See? Then what? Then what you do then? See? Now, you begging master, because you're landlocked, you can't access anybody. So now you're landlocked, right? You're landlocked, and you don't have access to anybody, anything, right? And now, you're running back to master. Remember, the border's closed, right? To help you out. But he done closed the border. And you can't get in there. And now, oh, I forgot the other part. You know, do you know that? Do you know what topsoil is? See, I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. I want to keep this down to like an hour. Topsoil is what makes things grow. See, the Europeans had ran out of topsoil, and they were starving over there. That's why they turned Europe into a shithole, and that's why they tried every time to escape the place. So America's topsoil, they've done the same thing over here they've done over there. They've most run out of topsoil. Because one of the unknown one of the not so close secrets is, if you pay attention, that they depend upon fertilizer from Russia. Why do you need fertilizer if you got good topsoil? And now they're at odds with Russia, and we're going to talk about that maybe next time. So in other words, America's run out of topsoil. So if you get those 6 states, are you going to be able to grow anything in 10 years? Then what? Even if you survive that long. So keep that in mind too, right? So now, what's happening, right? They're printing money like crazy. Your money can't mean anything anymore, right? Now you're begging master to come back. He done closed the border. Now you're starving. See? In the case for you, see, let's deal with them shrewdly. Let's make them no more a nation. Remember, as a nation. See, you ain't paying attention, brothers and sisters, but that's what you want, your reparations, and that's a reparations trap. See, just one of them. See, have you thought that thing through? They wouldn't do that? They wouldn't do that, right? No, they wouldn't do that. They done everything else, but they wouldn't do that. You understand, brothers and sisters? And who's selling you this? Who's selling you all this stuff? Who's selling it to you? So we're going to close on that point, brothers and sisters. See, you need to think these things true, because you run from one trap to another. And we'll give one small example, and then I'm going to close out, brothers and sisters. You remember this so-called thing about affirmative action? Remember that? They sold that to you. See, during that time, the females in America was mostly domestic. Take care of babies, take care of the home, that kind of stuff. That's mostly what females was doing during that time in the 50s, 60s, when they was riding and all that, marching, that kind of stuff. That's mostly what they was doing. So they're gonna get you reparations. Now he's a demon. See, these politicians, everything that you admire, you think they work with you, they sell you out. And that's another we're gonna talk about another time. So they went, but they won't do nothing to you, right? They always gonna be fair with you, right? What the Indians say, they speak with forked tongue. So they have reparations. They say minorities are gonna get special handling, special access. So you thought, oh man. See, remember, mostly women was the mess. So you thought all the guys, black guys, would finally move, because they wasn't in corporate America at that time. You was a busboy, or you was a train what they call, a porter or something, or elevator porter, or elevator operator. Something. You wasn't doing much of anything if you had a job at all, right? Or you was a cotton picker down doing sharecropping. So now we're finally gonna break into corporate America. See, remember they want to integrate, want to sleep with master's daughter, that kind of stuff. They want to integrate. See, you had two groups. You had one that want to integrate, one that want to get the hell out of here. See. So how's that working out? They left you in the seas, because when I was a kid, right, when I was shorty, right, before the hell was integration, the doctors and lawyers and all the educated people, they lived right next door to you. See, so it was right in the community. So the integration, they moved out there with master and left you in here in the ghetto. See, okay, well, these are facts. Anyway, they got the affirmative action, then what happened? Immediately before the ink was dry, they classified women as minorities. Now, women are not minorities in this country. Women are the majority of the population in this country. But they classify them as minorities. Right? So who do you think got those jobs? White women. All of a sudden, they was out, feminism and everything, they got all those jobs that you thought you didn't get, and you got more prisons. Thanks to Mr. Biden, he was in on it, all of them. You got more prisons, and they got the jobs. They said they had them as a minority, so they got the jobs you thought you was going to get. You got shit. Brothers and sisters, I think we're going to leave it there. I think, what they say less. If you didn't get any of that, then there's nothing for you to get. Okay, so let me go here and, okay, for my audio audience, thanks for listening. This is the Black Alert section of the Fire Zone. Fire Zone out. And for my audio audience, my video audience, thanks for listening. Assalamu alaikum.